48 political parties will contest the 2019 general elections. Parties wrapped up their campaigns this past weekend, attempting to persuade undecided voters. Some believe party manifestos lacked imagination and new ideas. And to discuss this further, we're joined by Independent Political Analyst Mike Siluma. Good evening, Mike. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having me.
So just to give us an overview, do you think that the election manifestos from the different parties contained the information that the voters were looking for?
I think that the trouble with the manifestos is that they really are a basket of wish lists. So that, I mean, I don't know if you've seen how long some of them are, like several, many pages, So it's really a long wish list, of what the political parties are promising. But I think that all of them ought to be looking at, the two key things that face the country at the moment. The one relates to the economy. What are we going to do with the economy? The other relates to nation building, which has fallen by the wayside, essentially, in the hustle and bustle of campaigning. And I think that those are the two key challenges facing our country today, not just for the short-term needs of political parties, like between now and Wednesday, but also for the current and future generations of South Africans. So I think that all of those manifestos are attempting in different ways to address those two key demands of our time as South Africans.
And of course, only time will tell if they deliver. Now, there are some individuals and communities that are threatening to boycott the elections because of service delivery issues, and they're saying that you haven't done enough for us, etc. Now, do you think that these political parties have done enough to say, for example, Party X, we have your interest at heart, so vote for us?
I think really it's a question of trust, Mahendra. When you get to a point where people are saying they will not vote, it means that they have lost confidence in the process and in the outcome and in the actors, which are the political parties. Because remember, people, so far we have voted 5 times, talking about the national and provincial.
And the provincial.
Yeah. And so people have got a sense of of how far or how much they can trust political actors. But the critical thing also that relates to the trust factor is that we have a whole lot of our system is such that political parties come out, they make a whole lot of promises, but there is no accountability. In other words, for the 5 years after you've elected them, you have no recourse. A political party can take the country and drive it over the cliff. And in those 5 years, there is nothing you can do about it. So that leads to a corrosion of trust in the system. So what we probably need is a system where individuals are elected. We elect people, the constituencies, voters in constituencies elect a representative, and that representative is put on terms. So that if during the 5 years the representative is not delivering, the electorate must have the power and the right to withdraw that representative and replace them with someone else.
And not just at the end of the 5-year term?
Yes.
Okay. So now, how different, this year's elections, I mean, it has been coined as the most pivotal of all South Africa's elections. How different is this year's elections to that of 1994?
I think the big difference, and I think that it's a change that has been cumulative, that is coming from 1994, and then we saw with the last local elections, and then up to now. The difference is that previously, at any stage you could actually make the right call about who was going to win the election, and invariably it would have been the ANC, broadly speaking. At the moment, we have now evolved to a point where it is now becoming more and more difficult to make a simple call like that to say the ANC will win, because we're starting to see a maturation, if you like,
yes,
of the system,
yes,
where we're starting now to talk about. In 1994, you're not really talking about coalitions, for example.
Exactly.
The ANC had a free hand, broadly speaking. But now we are seriously talking about the possibility of a coalition, for example, in Gauteng,
yes,
a possibility of a coalition happening in the Western Cape, in pretty much the same way that they happened in the major metros.
Yes.
The other big difference is that if it is highly unlikely in terms of the current polls, that the ANC will lose its 50% majority. But in the provinces, for example, in a province like Gauteng, you may find that the ANC for the first time at provincial level is placed at a position where it has to contemplate a coalition and it is going to be a very difficult choice for them, because it's highly likely again that on the one hand they'll be faced with the EFF, on the other it will be the DA, which will be like choosing between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Mike Siluma, for joining us, Independent Political Analyst. We shall have to wait and see after the 8th of May. Thank you.